Hello all. I hope you are doing great. If so, would you mind hitting that subscribe button for more content like this? I'm Omkar, and today we have a very special guest on our engineering talk show. He is a process engineer and also author of Mihir's Handbook of Chemical Process Engineering with a career spanning almost 4 decades. He has worked with numerous firms, industries, and consultancies worldwide. I welcome you, Mir sir, on Engineering Talks. Mir sir has expertise in project management, commissioning, pre-commissioning, project engineering, client relationship management, process safety engineering, cost estimation, business development, and senior management. His area of expertise exceeds my age, as does his experience. Currently, he is working with Muscat Engineering Consultancy based in Oman as an engineering manager. I welcome you, my Mir sir, on Engineering Talk Show. Could you
Okay,
please
thank you,
cover
thank you,
anything
Omkar.
that could you please cover anything that I may miss in the introduction part? Anything that you think our audience should know?
No, no, Omkar, first of all, thank you very much for the kind words you have given me in the introduction. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Just two things. In addition to Masters in Chemical Engineering, I have a PMP degree, which is Project Management Professional, and also a TUV Suit Certified Functional Safety Professional, which is a technical safety certificate. Huh? Yeah, Omkar, please proceed.
Right.
Huh?
So thank you, sir, for adding. So let's start the questions. So my first question is pretty basic, something that every fresher would ask any expert. That is distinguish between a regular engineer from a process engineer. Additionally, what qualities should a person possesses to excel in the process engineering?
Yeah, so I'll just answer this. That's a good question. Now, a chemical engineer basically has many fields in which he can go to. So, let's say you are talking about operations, you are talking of design field. In operations, you can have many other fields also. Like you can be a operator in a running factory, let's say. Or you can be in business development, you can be in sales. Now, when you say a process engineer, he can be a process operator. As I said, he can be in the operating plant as a process operator, or he can be in design field, which is a process design engineer. Okay. So other engineers, as I said, are also there, like in business development, sales, but these are not called process engineers. So a process engineer basically is connected to an actual operating plant. It can be in design phase or it can be in operations. In the operations, if you are there, a process engineer need not know about the design part. For example, if an operator has worked all his life in a refinery, he'll be excellent in the refinery operations, but he will not know anything about the design part of that refinery. Okay. So what we are looking at in this interview is a process design engineer, what we are referring to basically. You can also be a
Yes.
process operator in the operations. Now you also mentioned what are the skills that a process engineer requires. See, as a process design engineer, one should have the fundamentals clarity. So when you say a chemical engineer, when he graduates, he has good fundamental clarity, like what are the properties of chemical processes, then what are the different chemical formulations, like what is the formula of methane, ethane. So if he's in the oil and gas upstream process, he will definitely know all these components. Secondly, he should also know the in the design field when he's a process design engineer, like what are the documentation that is required in the design. So, like for example, when you say a process flow diagram, what is a PFD? At which stage it is drawn? What are the documents which are required for its input? Like simulation is required as input to process flow diagram. Then let's say what is the PNID? What are the other documents required? These he should be familiar with. Then the other skills he requires is what are the equipments which are available in the market. Let's say pumps. What are the type of pumps? So he should be aware of these things. Compressors, which are the types available, when one should use which type. If you have a very large capacity, you obviously cannot use a reciprocating compressor. So these are the basic skills. And other than that, it is his mental ability. Like for example, he should have the capacity to learn. Even at my age, I would say one should not just be satisfied that okay, I'm done with learning. One should have the enthusiasm to
Yes.
learn. Inquisitiveness should be there, and the strength and the ability to persevere. These are the skills I would put. You don't need any special skill as a process engineer. Perseverance in your work, learning all the time. This is what I would recommend. Huh? Yeah, Omkar, please go ahead.
Right,
Huh?
right, sir. So my next question was, how was your career journey been? Did you believe in yourself that you would become an expert in this field at that time, at the starting of the career?
No, actually, Omkar, first of all, I thank you that you consider me an expert in the field. I appreciate very much. Thank you. Secondly, I would say that whenever you start in your career, uh, one may not have too many choices. For example, I started my career, my first job was as Tolaram Fibers as a process operator, which I defined earlier. It was a process operator.
Hmm.
So I became so expert in that particular operation. It was a POY manufacturing company, partially oriented yarn, nylon 66 and polyester we used to manufacture. I became so expert in it. At that time, we didn't have mobile phones. We had pagers. So at night also, if my operator used to call me, I could explain to him that, okay, do this, do that, and the process will again come on track. So I never imagined that I would become a design special person one day. So after that job, I came to India, and then I started my career. One of my father's friends recommended me to go into the process design field, engineering design, and that's when I started. My first job was when IBI Kematur, which is a Kematur Sweden subsidiary in Bombay. And there I learned the fundamentals of process engineering, which have lasted me yet to this day. I had a very good mentor, Mr. Manoj Shah, who has written the preface also for my book. And he's about, I think, 72 years old now. And he's retired,
Right.
but he's an excellent engineer. So I started my career there, and from then, further companies, I developed my skills, as I said, process engineering skills. So it has been a very good journey. In IBI Kematur at that time, the commissioning used to be done in-house. So acetic acid plants, acetic anhydride plants, ethyl acetate plants. The commissioning helped a lot because when you design a plant, if you do the commissioning yourself, you know in and out what mistakes you have done, where to improve in the next plant. So these things helped a lot in my career. Huh? Yeah, Omkar, please go ahead.
Right.
Huh?
Right. So one more question to add about this. How many years you spend in the production, like actual operation at the start?
Yeah. See, I would roughly say around, I have total of 86, I did my master's. So it's been about like 38 years now in the chemical field. And roughly around 40% of the time has been spent in operations, as well as 60% in the process design field, roughly.
I ask this question because many of the production people thinks that switching into the design from operation is tough task nowadays.
No, no, that is not actually true. In operations, if you are there even 10 years now, I have met a lot of process engineers who are operators in refineries and all. They are extremely smart. They know the equipment in and out. And for them to switch to the design field is not a big task. Okay? Because their fundamentals are still there, they are still strong.
Right. Next one is not a question. Last week I met Mr. Johnson George from Tekin. So he told me that Mr. Manoj wrote the preface for Mir's Handbook.
Right, Omkar. Right. That's correct. Huh? Johnson George is the owner of Tekin Process Consultancies.
Right.
They have, I think, office in Baroda. They have an office in Thana also. I was there 3 months as an executive director recently, last year, April to July of 22. before I got this Muscat engineering, and this will probably be my last job. I am 61 now, so it will probably be my last job of my career, Muscat Engineering Consultancy.
So my question is about the book now. Why
Yeah.
you choose to write a book? Tell me a story behind Mihir's Handbook of Chemical Process Engineering.
No, no issue. Omkar, actually, not many people may be aware of this. See, I was in Qatar, Kens, in Doha, Qatar. I'm talking of 2015. So it was Ramadan time, and in Ramadan, the company basically has reduced hours of working. So in the afternoon at 2 o'clock, they stopped the work. So I was alone there. My family was in Bombay, India. So every day, because I didn't have too many things to do there, so it was 2 o'clock used to end the work. So I used to go by bus to a church there in uh, in Doha, and I used to spend my time. I used to get a lot of peace of mind there, you know. So that lasted about a month, and after that, I think in July, June was the Ramadan, if I remember, and in July, one day I was living alone there. So one day when my eyes opened in the morning, suddenly a thought popped into my head that Mihir write a book. It was like an angel of the Lord was standing next to my bed, instructing me that Mihir write a book. I was totally zapped. I was totally flabbergasted. And then I immediately phoned my wife. She also encouraged me that it is maybe a divine instruction from the Heavenly Father. So I took it very seriously. I started preparing the book. It took me 2.5 years to write the book. And my main purpose was what things should I put in there so that the process chemical engineer knows how to do process design engineering. Okay, so from that perspective, I wrote it. It took me 2.5 years to write the book, and it went online. I think in January 2018, it went online. But that's the reason behind it. I took it as a divine instruction from God that me write a book. You know, I try to make it as beneficial to any engineer as possible. It has more than 4,000 pages. Plus, I put a lot of Excel files in it, like process data sheets, checklist. Then you also have your calculation templates for many,
Yes.
many things like pressure drop calculations, equipment design calculations. So I try to make it as composite as possible so that the engineer has a one-stop solution for all his design needs. You know? So
Right.
that's the history behind the book.
Yes. We will review the book in more detail at the last after our questions. How do you manage that span of around 24 months of writing this book?
Yeah, yeah. See, I'll tell you, it was not easy because I was working full time in Qatar, Qatar Cairns, Doha. On the weekends or in holidays, I used to sit and write the book. Firstly, in July 2015, when I got that instruction, I first drafted my index and then I started attacking one chapter at a time. You know, and it was so good that whenever I used to get stuck, I used to get the answer within 3 or 4 days. So that was a help from God. I take it in that fashion, and it was quite hard work because it took me almost 2.5 years to write the book. It's not easy writing a book from scratch. Uh,
Yes.
all the chapters and all I tried to make as composite as possible. I had a lot of help from my wife also. Uh, she was very inspiring to me, that encouraging me all the time. A lot of the credit goes to her also for the book becoming successful. So it was not hard, Omkar. I'll just put it in that fashion. I almost lost my health also. I became quite diabetic. My sugar levels went up. I was in Khobar at that time in Saudi Arabia when I finished my last book before returning home here. You know. Yeah, Omkar, please go ahead.
Yes. Tell me about your memorable projects in India or in Gulf and what are your top learnings from them?
Yeah, sure. See, as I said, I was working in USA, Tolaram Fibers, as a process operator before I returned to India. That is, I'm talking about 1990. And my first company was IBI Chematur. That was located in Andheri, Mumbai. And I joined there as a junior process engineer, basically. So in my job there, I learned a lot of things, the hardcore process engineering, and not only that, we had acetic acid, acetic anhydride, ethyl acetate. These projects we had, like for example, King Chemicals in Thanjavur, Tamil Nadu. There we designed the plant. We went and commissioned that also. Then in Lakshmi Organics in Mahad, Maharashtra. There also we designed the plant, went and commissioned it. Then we had other projects like, for example, NCPL project, Narmada Chematur Petrochemicals Limited, which is in Gujarat. There they manufacture aniline and TDI, toluene diisocyanate. So that was also an excellent project. So it was a very good learning for me in IBI Chematur. After that, I joined Uday, and in Uday, I was a lead engineer, lead process engineer. I'm talking of 95, 96, I'm talking of. So I was lead process engineer in an excellent project of Nirma, basically. Nirma LAB plant, it was called. Linear alkyl benzene. Okay, Nirma linear alkyl benzene in Alindra village in Baroda. So that was UOP was the licensor, and Uday was the extended basic engineering as well as the detailed design. So that was an excellent experience for me. We had a lot of packages. Normally, in many consultancies, a process engineer does not handle packages. However, in Uday, the packages were handled by the process engineer. So in this Nirma LAB plant, so many packages were there, utility packages. There was a large hot oil heater, 36 billion kilocalorie per hour. It was a massive hot oil heater, having 18 burners basically. So that also package, Foster Wheeler had got the order, Canada Foster Wheeler. And all these packages I myself handled. Plus there were more than 50 exchangers. So we did the thermal design. At that time, STRI was not there. It was STFS, okay, which is now taken over by Aspen and it's called EDR now. Okay, Aspen ICs has taken over and it's called EDR now. So in STFS, we had designed more than 50 thermal design of 50 exchangers for that project. So that was a massive learning for me. Just to give an idea of how large the plant was, the flare was height was 120 meters, 610 ton per hour capacity of flare, 120 meters height. So this was the size of the plant. It's like a mini refinery basically. And then after that, basically, I was there in SABIC for about 4 years, out of which we did engineering on a Ibn Hayyan Plastic Products company. So there I was actually also in operations after the plant was commissioned, running the entire utilities basically. So that utilities included the complete gamut of utilities, cooling towers, chillers. Then you are talking of HVAC was there, and then we are looking at the compressed air systems. All of these systems were there. Hot oil heaters, incinerators, all of these systems were there. So these are the projects, many projects. I have worked on many projects, but I think these are the principal ones which helped me a lot. Okay.
All right. Is there any specific challenges you faced during this?
Yeah. See, the specific challenges I faced is, let's talk about Nirma LAB plant. So Nirma LAB plant was a very fast track project. UOP had supplied the basic engineering package, which is called the Schedule A package, they call it, Black Book. They call it the Black Book, So based on that, we had to do the extended basic engineering, where the gaps are there. And after that, detailed design. It was a 18-month start to finish project. So the 18 months included the start of engineering, complete procurement, then delivery of the equipment, mechanical completion. So it was a very fast track project and it was a great challenge for us because uh, we had SNC Lavalin also as a PMC in that job. So Uday was the detail engineering contractor, SNC Lavalin was the PMC, and UOP was the licensor. So it was a very great challenge there. In IBI Kamatur, we faced challenges in the sense many of these plants had no licenses. Like acetic acid had no license. Acetic anhydride was in-house designed. I think Mr. Manoj Shah was the main engineer behind it. And Mr. Kamath was there, who was a colleague of Manoj Shah. Kamath was a genius. He was an extremely genius process engineer. So that challenge was faced all in-house engineering, commissioning also in-house. And ethyl acetate also we did without any licensor. So in IBI Kamatur, it was all very challenging projects. And we faced a lot of issues at site also. But it was great learning. Those were my formative years, young years basically. It was good
Yes.
learning for me at that time. Yeah, Omkar, yeah.
You work with the Indian and foreign engineers. Can you tell me key differences you have observed in them and in us?
Yeah, no issue, no issue. See, I'll give an example. During the 1980s and 90s and all, at that time, this internet was not there, mobile phones were not there, this WhatsApp and all these things were not at all there. Uh, at that time, there was a quite a big difference when you talk about 80s and 90s. So the Indian engineers were not as great as the foreign counterparts. Okay, so when you are looking at the first country nationals, let's say USA, UK, at that time these engineers were quite superior in many ways, okay, technological ways as compared to our Indian Pakistani engineers. But now with the world becoming so one, basically with internet, so much knowledge is there. Then you have emails are there. You have WhatsApp is there. So the differentiation in the quality of the engineers is becoming less and less. And I would say now, if you see, almost all the engineers are equal. I would even go ahead and say that earlier, for example, let's say Saudi countries, in Saudi, for example, in UAE, etc. The expats are basically US engineers, UK engineers. They were treated on a far higher level than our Indian and Pakistani engineers in the 90s, 80s, 90s. I'm talking about. Okay. And now, if you see, the world has become a level platform for all the process engineers. And right now in Muscat, I'm working. So majority of the engineers here I see are from Pakistan, India. Okay, so very few expats are there here. So it has become now the global platform has been leveled out from that angle. Now, one thing about
Yes.
now, I just don't want to be very picky and choosy because all engineers have struggled in their 4 years. They have put in a lot of effort. So I don't want to get into that this thing. I would treat all engineers on an equal platform now. However, Indian engineers, there is a fire in the stomach. Okay, because we come from a lot of hardships. Our families may not be able to pay that much for our education. This is still prevalent in India. So the engineers that come out of India have the fire in the stomach. Okay, so they have that capacity to learn more also, which somehow the foreign engineers, let's say US engineer, etc., they have a lot of aid, etc., for their colleges study and all. So some lacking format is there in that fire in the stomach format. Whereas the Indians, I find that they have that motivation because they have to succeed. There's a lot of competition, and they have struggled quite hard in their 4 years, and they have that zeal to succeed also. Okay, this is the basic
Yes.
differentiation I find between India and, let's say, an engineer of a first country national. Okay.
Right. Sir, before my last question, we will just review our index on Mir's Handbook and more about online courses. So I will share the screen to the audience. Is my screen visible, sir?
Yeah, it is visible, Omkar. Huh?
Yes. So firstly, we'll review the advanced course. Basically, it's online pre-recorded advanced course, we can say.
Right, right. See, I'll just explain, Omkar. Uh,
Yes.
Now, the idea behind this advanced course is, uh, see, the handbook is a very extensive handbook, but I find that nowadays the engineers may not have that much time to read the handbook and all, and that's why I
Yes.
thought about this idea. So this advanced course basically are pre-recorded videos, and I'm giving it at a very economical selling rate also. The idea is I wanted to help the engineers. These are one hour, one and a half hours pre-recorded videos on all the chemical process engineering topics. So the idea behind this is that the knowledge can be easily available to the engineer who is viewing the course. Okay, reading a handbook is a little bit difficult at times when you are tired and all. Here you can view the course at your own luxury whenever you have time. In one hours, the parts have been broken basically, and it is very exhaustive. A lot of knowledge I have put into these courses. So, for example, 52 process engineering topics are there, 93 videos are there, and almost 120 hours of duration, total duration is there. Okay. And along with this, I'm giving the handbook also for free along with this because that will help the engineer if he wants to get some more this thing, he can refer the handbook also. So the topics, as you
Right.
can see, now, are very all the process engineering topics are covered here. For example, heat exchanger, I have about 7 parts are there, part 1 to 7, and total is about 7.5 hours. I have covered all the HTRI also, optimization also I have covered. Then the utilities, in the next sheet you'll see, in the next sheet, these are the utility systems. So all the utilities I have covered. The previous sheet, can you go to the previous sheet, please? Yeah.
Yes.
So here you see all the utilities are covered, which I encountered in the process industry, and quite in depth I've covered these, including effluent treatment, ETP, then cooling tower systems, chill water, hot oil systems, which are the thermic fluid systems. Then I've also covered the oily water sewer, which is OWS, CRWS, which is contaminated rainwater systems. CBD is the closed blowdown systems. All of these also I've covered, which one encounters in the process engineering. And in addition, on the right, if you see, there are many topics which a process engineer has to be familiar with. Like hydraulics are there.
Right.
All the hydraulics, including two-phase hydraulics, also I've covered there. And you at the bottom, if you see pre-commissioning, commissioning has its own particular video. Okay. Commissioning and pre-commissioning are the cream of a process engineer's job, for the information, because he actually gets to operate the equipment as well as get to use the DCS PLC systems. So this is a very unique experience for a process engineer. Then
Right.
in the next sheet, if you go, so now in each and every topic, I've tried to make it as extensive as possible to give as much knowledge regarding that topic. So one can see starting with introduction, fundamentals, application areas, codes and standards, consumption norms. Example, instrument air. So control uses X amount of Nm cube per hour. Instrument air. All this I've covered. Then process schematics were over there, like a nitrogen system. What are the things, components? Like you start with the compressors, then a dryer, PSA bed is there if it's a PSA based, or you have a membrane based nitrogen system, like that. Then the types of equipment involved, process calculations with examples, inputs required, process deliverables are there, which are the deliverables, process data sheets have been covered in depth. Then control methods. For example, if you have a compressor, let's say reciprocating compressor, how do you control that? What are the different controls types possible? A centrifugal, what are the control types possible? Like that, basically. Then layout related. For example, if you have a fire heater in a unit in a platform, inside the plant, if you have a fire heater, it is always located on the upstream of the wind direction. It is never located downstream. Because if you have a leakage in the plant, if you have, let's say, gaseous leakage is there, that can cause a fire if the fire heater is located downstream of the bin. Okay, so these are things that one has to look at. Then procurement strategy, how do you tackle package units, individual equipments, technical bid evaluations has been covered. Then reference documents I have given of actual projects. So I've tried to make each and every topic as exhaustive as possible, knowledge point of view. Huh?
Right.
So this is the book contents, just for information. So all of these indexes are available in the website also, which is www.chemicalprocessengineering.com. The book is very extensive. As I said, I've tried to cover all the process engineering topics, and it is very, very exhaustive. These are all the chapters in the books, basically. As you go down, you'll see many other chapters are there, including the process design documentation, PBE guidelines. So these are the table of contents, and this is available on the website also.
Right. So, sir, thank you for uh, the detailed information about the online course and about the meets. And so my
No, no,
last
no
question
issue.
is
Most welcome.
la-
Most welcome.
right. My last question is, what are your future plans? Are there any specific goals or milestone that you would like to achieve in your career?
No, actually, I have a technical safety background also. So I've been a head of department of process and technical safety in many consultancies. Technical safety also mostly involves a process engineer, like a chemical engineer is involved in the technical safety. Many times mechanical engineers are also there. Now the way the industry is, technical safety has become a separate vertical. Like a process engineer normally does not know too much about technical safety when you do the design of that. So it involves like there are active fire protection systems, passive fire protection systems. Then there are the codes and standards. Like in India, you have our this OISD standard is there. Then the Indian standard is there, which is called Bureau of Indian Standards. So these are the standards in abroad. You have many other standards like USA follows NFPA, okay, National Fire Protection Agency standards. Like that, you have many standards. So a process chemical engineer will have no knowledge now. The things have become very vertical like this, you know. So technical safety has its own vertical, and in addition, there are many things which are there. So I am planning to write a book on technical safety also based on my experience. It is in the I'm working on it now. It may take some time also, but I'll try to make it as exhaustive as possible for the technical safety engineers in the market. And the other thing is going forth, I'm seriously thinking of starting a process design engineering platform, educational platform. How to go about it and all is in the initial stage, but I do plan to have a educational platform on process engineering going forth.
Right. So great initiatives are starting a platform for process engineer. Many of the entry level engineers are struggling to get on track initially. So it will help them if you have a plan for it.
No, definitely, Omkar. Thank you very much. Now, just for the freshers and the junior engineers who have entered the market, who have entered the industry, just a word of advice. I think, see, now I understand that the salaries are very high in the industry. Like you may see an IT fellow and earning a lot more than what you are earning as a junior engineer. But please do not worry about the money in the initial part. uh, Concentrate on gaining knowledge, ask as many questions as possible, harass your seniors. Okay, if you are in the company, nobody will bother too much if you harass your engineers by asking questions, but learn as much as you can. In the Three Idiots movie, I remember Amir Khan movie, the message was very clear that excel yourself, make yourselves capable, success will automatically follow. Okay, So that is what my message to the juniors is, that learn as much as you can in your formative years. Ask questions, and don't worry if you get a lower salary. Salary will become higher once you are more and more beneficial to your company. Okay.
Right. So, sir, that's end from my side. I hope our audience will learn something from this episode. If you want to add something more, you can add
No, Omkar,
anything,
I'm
any
fine.
advice to our.
Yeah, I thank you very much for this opportunity you have given me, and thank you for the kind words you have used in the introduction also. Huh? Thank you very
Yes,
much.
yes.
And my message to
So,
everybody is work hard, uh, try to gain knowledge all throughout your life. Nobody should say I have gained all the knowledge. It doesn't work like that. Even I don't have too much knowledge on the like renewable energy fields are there, now. So I'm trying to pick
yes,
up those also. Hydrogen is there, solar, wind energy. These are the renewable energies now in the market. So one should always try to gain as much knowledge as possible all throughout your career. Okay, that's my advice to everybody.
okay. So, all right. Take care, guys. Keep growing and be happy. We'll meet in next episode with another engineering personality.